Welcome back to NewsWire. The New York Jets getting ready for the Aaron Rodgers reboot season, but getting ready for a lot of drama, it looks like, too. Let's bring in Andy Vasquez from NJ.com. He covers the New York Jets. And, I mean, Andy, what would an offseason be as we head toward the NFL preseason week 2 and the regular season without some drama? Thanks again for coming on the show.
The Jets know how to do drama very well. So, yes, I know a little bit about drama and happy to be here.
Yeah, well, Andy, this is a very peculiar story here, which also fits the Jets' narrative here, because Haasan Reddick was traded in the offseason to come over and really fortify a very good Jets defense, and I assume, that they talked about this as to what could potentially happen. There seems to be some miscommunication as to Reddick getting a contract extension or just simply playing out the season. What do you make of what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. Obviously, the only reason Haasan Reddick became available was because he wasn't going to reach an extension with the Eagles. So the fact that he was on the market, there's a reason he was on the market. The Jets knew why he was on the market. There's many reports out there that he was offered an extension that he declined before the trade, and the Jets traded for him anyway. I mean, all throughout, up until minicamp, really, it seemed, even up until training camp, it seemed like this is a slam dunk. It seems like the Jets need Reddick. Reddick needs the Jets, obviously. And obviously, something has changed. The Jets, it's been out there repeatedly, and you can see from that Joe Douglas statement that they feel like maybe Haasan Reddick hasn't been as upfront with them. When Haasan Reddick was introduced on April 1st, he said that no matter what happened with his contract, he would, give his best to the Jets. And obviously, something changed with that contract thing. It's just strange to me. The Jets clearly don't want to negotiate with him until he gets in camp. Reddick doesn't have a guarantee on his contract. Why would a guy who's already underpaid ever show up at camp without a guarantee on his contract? And it's just a strange situation. So I never thought this could get to this point, and now kind of everything is on the table because it's gotten this far, and it's very ugly with the trade request.
Yeah, look, the guy's just not going to play. I mean, that's at least that's what it seems like until he gets a new deal. As you said, there's very little incentive. Now, on the positive side, and we'll take a look at this from the half full side, the Jets really, while they lost a lot of players in bulk, they really didn't lose a lot of value, I don't think, from their roster this past season, where a few players that played last year went to some other teams, but the arrivals were really the story for the Jets. As in, it seems like they pushed the chips in by getting Reddick and also Mike Williams and Tyron Smith and Kinlaw. I mean, these were major additions. And look, they need Reddick. We understand that. But if Mike Williams is healthy eventually and playing in week 1 and Smith is guarding for Aaron Rodgers and Rodgers is back, I mean, I guess that's why it makes some sense that the projections have the Jets potentially being in contention to win the division.
Yeah, it's interesting because last year, obviously, there was so much hype about this team, and they are much better positioned right now than they were a year ago to actually contend for a playoff berth, a division title, the first one in a long time, more than 20 years. And obviously, they feel like they're in the mix for the Super Bowl. I still don't think they're quite there, but they're certainly deeper at wide receiver. They're certainly better on the offensive line, although because they were so handcuffed, Joe Douglas had to make some risky moves with Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses. These are older veterans who are kind of injury prone, especially Tyron Smith, who's missed more games than he's played over the last 4 years. But he played 13 games last year with Dallas. I think he's the key. If he stays healthy, if he can give them 12 or 13 games, their offensive line can be really good. You got Breece Hall, you got Garrett Wilson, you've got, superstar caliber players, and those two guys. Jermaine Johnson's a rising star. Quinnen Williams, we already know what he is. Sauce Gardner. I mean, their roster is loaded. They do need some things to come together. They need to stay healthy. But I think there's a strong argument. I wouldn't pick them to win the division, but I think there's a strong argument they're the most talented team in the division right now.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are always, a factor there, and people always say if healthy. I mean, Andy, that's every team in the NFL. It's sort of unfair. Yeah. Okay, so tell me, this is the blind spot, I think, for a lot of people, with you being at practice and a lot of people not. It's the rookies that the team's drafted, because a lot of times they're not really featured. Olu Fashanu, who was the cream of the crop with the Jets class offensive tackle in the first round. Also Malachi Corley, and then names that we actually recognize from playing at a high level in college. Braelon Allen out of Wisconsin, and then the player that maybe I'm most interested in is Jordan Travis. I know he's probably not going to see a lot of field time this year, but I am curious as to how he's looked in a reserve role, if he's played at all. I haven't seen.
Yeah, he's on the pup list, so we've seen him do some throwing off to the side, but I'm guessing he will spend the year, or he's on the NFI list because the injury was before he reached the
Mm,
NFL. So
right.
I would
Mhm.
imagine that's how that'll go, or maybe he'll end up on the practice squad at some point.
Mhm.
So we haven't seen much from him, but I think being in a quarterback room with Aaron Rodgers is only going to help you. You will see a lot of Braelon Allen. I already can tell you it's pretty obvious he's number 2 on the running back depth chart. Brees Hall is talking about him differently than the other running backs. I mean, it's a young running back room, 2 rookies and a second year guy in Izzy Abeniconda. Isaiah Davis is the other rookie, but it's clear that Allen is the number 2 guy. He had a great showing. I think it was 6 carries for 59 yards in the preseason game the other day, and he's a big bruising runner. He's also only 20 years old. If he
Mm.
plays at any point this year, he'll be the first 20-year-old in the history of the Jets to play in a game, which is pretty remarkable as well. Uh, Corley had a nice practice again yesterday. It was the Jets' most advanced practice, the longest practice. Rodgers threw about 30 passes, including the final pass of the day, which was a 2-point conversion to tie the game on a move the ball drill, and he's looked good. And Fashanu, they're just starting this week, moving him around from left tackle to right tackle. He's gonna be in a backup role. He played the entire first half in the preseason the other day. Salah said ideally he doesn't have to play any other games other than the preseason games this year. But he is a very nice insurance policy if something happens to one of those tackles, and I think he's looked like pretty solid through the first 3 weeks of camp.
Andy, always great stuff to catch up with you here. Real quick, season win total 9.5. Over, under, any opinion on that?
I think it's gonna be hard, but I think they'll be over. I've got them at 11 wins and finishing second in the division.
All right, fair enough. Andy, great stuff as always. Thanks for catching up with us and taking some time to come on Newswire.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.